In a dim New York office, Ethan stares at 5 clocks ticking on the wall while his pencil taps the desk in a frantic rhythm. On his monitors, a storm of digital numbers flickers, yet the air in the room remains hauntingly silent. He is desperately trying to calculate every what if of a future that hasn't happened yet. Ethan isn't living in the present. He's living in the next 2 years, and it's killing him. Ethan carried a leather-bound notebook everywhere. Inside, the pages were crowded with tiny, frantic handwriting. It wasn't a diary of memories, but a map of every possible disaster for the next 10 years. He had Plan A, Plan B, and even Plan Z for situations that hadn't even happened yet. To Ethan, a plan was a shield. He believed that if he could predict the future, he could control it. And if he could control it, he would finally be safe. But his mind was never at peace. Even as he walked through the busy streets of New York, 1,000 questions raced through his head like a storm. What if the market crashes tomorrow? What if my new project fails? What if I haven't prepared enough? He was so busy building walls against the future that he forgot to breathe in the present. His eyes were heavy with fatigue, and his heart felt like a clock that was wound much too tight. He was running a race against a ghost that was always 10 steps ahead. One afternoon, Ethan sat on a wooden bench in Central Park, trying to organize his thoughts. Suddenly, his phone buzzed in his pocket. He opened a short email. A major investor had pulled out, something he never saw coming. It wasn't in his notebook. It wasn't in Plan A, B, or C. The world seemed to spin. Ethan felt a sharp coldness in his chest. His hands trembled, and for the first time in years, he had no answer. He dropped his head into his hands, feeling completely defeated. The future he tried so hard to cage had finally broken free, leaving him exhausted and lost in the middle of a beautiful, sunny day. Ethan sat on the grass, his head in his hands. The city hummed around him, but he felt like he was drowning in his own thoughts. Just a few feet away, an old man sat quietly. He was holding a thin string, watching a colorful kite dance high above the trees. He looked completely at peace, as if the chaos of the world couldn't touch him. The old man looked over and smiled gently. "You look like a man trying to carry the weight of the whole world on your shoulders," he said. Ethan looked up, his eyes tired. "I lost everything because I couldn't see it coming," Ethan replied. "I spent my whole life planning for the future, but it still slipped through my fingers. I just want to know how to stay ahead of it." The old man reached into his bag and pulled out an empty glass jar. He handed it to Ethan. "I can show you how to control the future," the old man said calmly. "But first, you must do something for me. Do you see that wind blowing from the east, the one shaking the leaves? Go, catch that wind in this jar and bring it back to me. Once you have it, I will give you the secret you are looking for." Ethan was confused. It sounded impossible, but he was desperate. He took the jar and stood up. He ran toward the trees where the breeze was strongest. He swung the jar through the air, trying to scoop up the wind. He slammed the lid shut quickly, breathing hard. He looked inside. Nothing, only clear glass. He tried again. He ran faster, chasing the gusts across the grass, his face turning red with effort. He felt the wind brush against his skin, teasing him. It was real. He could feel its power, yet his hands remained empty. The wind belonged to the sky, not to his jar. After a long time, Ethan stopped. He was sweaty, exhausted, and angry. He walked back to the old man and set the jar down. "This is a joke," Ethan sighed. "You can't catch the wind. It's everywhere, but the moment you try to grab it, it's gone. It's impossible to hold." The old man picked up the empty jar and nodded slowly. "Exactly," he whispered. "And yet, That is exactly what you have been trying to do with your life. The old man sat back and watched the leaves rustle above them. Ethan looked at the glass jar in his hand, then at his feet. The silence between them grew, but it wasn't a heavy silence anymore. It felt like a rest. "You see, Ethan," the old man said, his voice as soft as the breeze. "The future is exactly like this wind. It is vast, it is powerful, and it belongs to no one. You spend all your energy trying to catch it, trying to lock it in a jar so it couldn't surprise you. But the moment you try to cage the wind, it stops being the wind. It becomes nothing." Ethan looked at the empty jar, then back at the old man's kite. "But if I don't control it, I'll be lost. How do I survive the storms?" The old man gestured to his kite, floating steadily against the blue sky. "Look at this kite. It doesn't fight the wind. It doesn't try to stop it from blowing. Instead, it uses the wind. It has a frame, a string, and a tail. That is its preparation." He leaned closer. "This is the secret. Control is catching the wind. Preparation is building the sail. You cannot decide which way the wind blows, Ethan. No one can. But you can decide how to set your sails. A wise sailor doesn't waste their life shouting at the sky to stop the storm. They spend their time making sure their ship is strong and their heart is steady." Ethan let out a long, slow breath. For the first time, he felt the tension in his shoulders start to melt away. He looked at the jar. It was still empty, but for some reason, he didn't feel like a failure anymore. He realized that the wind wasn't his enemy. His need to own it was. From today's story, we learn that the hardest thing to let go of is the illusion of control. We spend our lives trying to cage the future, only to find our hands empty and our hearts exhausted. But remember, you cannot catch tomorrow while your hands are still busy holding on to the fears of today. Stop fighting the wind. Instead, focus on strengthening your sails and trusting the journey. If you're ready to finally put down your glass jar and breathe, comment the word peace below. And don't forget to follow us as we find more ways to find silence in this loud world. Stay calm, and may you find your peace in the present.